Ben, I'm sure your answers are going to be similar, but is there a number you really like? Is there a particular stat you want to see on a Monday morning that is the one that you look for first?
Look, I think we all look at the same sort of metrics, whether it's attendances or TV ratings, participation. I guess to my view, and it's broader than just football, but a metric I'd love to see is the amount of parklands and ovals and pitches and that are being built in urban development, because I think that's one of the critical issues that we all face as a sport, and trying to create a society that follows on from the way we had our childhood, where there was plenty of parkland and plenty of space available to play. So maybe it's a bit altruistic, but when was the last time you saw a major property development that had a couple of hectares set aside for sporting fields? So it's probably digressing a little bit from your question, Andrew, but we measure all the same sort of things, and each one of them is important. But I really wish as a nation we'd start to measure the available recreational spaces, and in particular, the sort of facilities that we need to all be successful.
The Buckley Grass Index is what we're looking for. All right, people bandy about, it is a competitive sports market and you guys are all competing against each other. People bandy about all sorts of numbers, and it depends on who's writing the article. But Ben, can you give us an indication, the sort of money that the AFL has poured into New South Wales since, say, the start of the Swans in order to grow all those metrics you've been talking about? Is it, people talk about $300 or $400 million. Is that vaguely accurate over the last, say, 25 years?
Are you asking me a question about the AFL investment?
I am. Sorry, I meant to say Gil, I beg your pardon. It says somebody's typed in my script.
With the number, but I think
somebody's typed your name to an AFL question. It's probably me that typed it.
We've changed.
Sorry, Gil.
A lot of things have changed since Ben left. No, we are investing in game development. Overall, what we describe as game development, which is investment in development programs and state leagues below the elite level, some $100 million a year.
Right.
And I think the number that's been bandied around is sort of in the order of $20 million every year into Sydney and South East Queensland.
So, are you happy with the outcome so far in this jurisdiction, I suppose?
Listen, I think we're comfortable with where we're at. We've made some significant gains in the last 4 or 5 or 6 years, but this is a very difficult market. As John said, most competitive sports market in the world. We're not here to I guess, dominate or whatever people are trying to say. We basically just want to provide kids with an option. We want, I guess, to maintain our presence in this market, and we have to continue to invest just to stand still, really. Everyone else is investing. People are, if we don't continue to invest more heavily, we need just to stand still, then we'll go backwards. So our view is we're trying to maintain a foothold and provide kids with an alternative. If
you go into Western Sydney, do the Swans have a say in that? I mean, do the Swans have any?
Absolutely. Well, in terms of a say about whether a team goes in there?
Sure.
You'll
ask them, but we listen to the answer?
No, we'd be crazy to be going in there without the blessing and partnering with the Swans. They're our elite brand in this market, and we wouldn't be going in there without working with them to try and deliver the outcome. So, absolutely. Okay.
David, the Broncos seem to have had Brisbane to themselves for a long time. It's the only monopoly that Macquarie Bank doesn't seem to own at the moment. Would you consider putting a second team into Brisbane, if only to ward off these 4 other guys next year, to stop them from taking other parts of that territory, because it's a big market for one team?
Yeah, and there's certainly a big growth corridor out to the west of Brisbane. We've just gone into South East Queensland with a new team on the Gold Coast, the Titans, and I've got to say they've exceeded expectation for us. They've got community involvement, they've got a fantastic facility. We all know about the population growth in South East Queensland. So Queensland teams are setting benchmarks for us in our competition at the moment, the 3 teams. And it's certainly not beyond the realms that we would go up there and have a 4th team at some point.
James, obviously you don't care about any of this sort of stuff, right? Because you are not really competing with these guys in the same ways that they're competing with each other. Is that fair to say? Or am I missing something?
Well, I guess in a seasonal sense, perhaps we are different. But I mean, the A-League operates during the summer period, so there's an obvious connection there. I mean, I think, in a general sense, we're actually all in exactly the same page about wanting young Australian kids to pick up bats and balls or footballs or whatever it might be and play sport. And I think, certainly endorse Ben's comments. I mean, I think you can actually take that a step further and do some very interesting studies on what's happening in our schoolyards and in school hours. The amount of participation in sport that is there today it's something like a tenth of what it was 20, 30, 40 years ago. And from that perspective, it's actually us, the major sports in Australia, that are taking the game into the schoolyards, where previously it was the education departments. And at the same time, we've got the second or third fattest kids in the world. We've got a real obesity problem in this country. And
it was the Béarnaise sauce, mate.
And well, yeah, it's partly what you eat, but it's also about how active you are. And I think that it's one of the reasons why the support for government from government is so important for us.
A lot of the way you guys all interacted looks like the European powers in the 19th century carving up Africa or the different parts of the world. It's the great game all over again. Is any of you prepared to say, when we look at a zone for putting a team or a franchise, if you want to call it somewhere, I'm not thinking about what the other guy's doing? Any of you can say that I don't care what the other guys do, this is our market, our target? Anybody prepared to say that?
No, because I think we all do.
Right. Thank you, Ben, for breaking the deadlock.
There's no doubt about it. I mean, as John said, this is probably the most competitive sports market in the world, and we've all got our own plans and we're all focused on our own end results, but you have to be very cognizant of your competition, and we are all competing for the hearts and minds of Australians, and sure, people are going to follow AFL or are going to follow cricket or play both sports, but to continue to make our own investments in growth, you have to be able to be commercially successful at the top end of the game, and that is very competitive, and I'm sure we're all watching eagerly what everyone else is doing.
Fair enough. Now, last night I was watching Late Night and Julia Gillard was talking about the skills shortage. She wasn't specifically talking about sport, but all you guys have IR issues and international salary pressures. James, is the Indian Premier League potentially, with the new World Series cricket, the new great threat to the old world of cricket?
Well, I think you can look at it as a threat. I actually see it as a great opportunity for the game to grow in a way that it's never grown before. Certainly the public acceptance of it in a short space of time in the Indian market has been unbelievable. I mean, I don't think there's ever been a start-up competition that's raised $2 billion of money just basically overnight. It seems to have attracted, well, it's certainly got a lot of hype about it and incredible attention in India and other parts of the world as well. Everyone's talking about it. But in terms of the risk of a player drain, well, I think there is to some extent, because there's big money on offer, and the money compares very favourably to what we offer Australian players. But when you consider what other countries pay their players, which is hugely less than what we do, then you can see that the potential for that talent drain to be quite significant. So it's something that we all need to be very aware of. When I say we, the test playing countries, the full members of the ICC, and we are. One of the critical questions that will come up is whether there's an exclusive window made available for the IPL or not. We're interested to see how that unfolds, but clearly we'll be very fiercely protecting our space that is the Future Tours program, because that's where we generate our income.
David, when I was very young, rugby league players on their retirement might go off to Wigan or Hull or somewhere like that, and once they had a look at the place, they tended to come back pretty quickly. But the landscape's changed a fair bit, because rugby players are going to rugby union, they're going to rugby league in England, which appears to be paying a bit more than it did a few years ago, and even to rugby union in France.